Welcome to this presentation from the National Centre for Australian Children's Literature. I'm Belle Alderman, the Director of the Centre. I'm very pleased to share with you our ongoing project, which began 5 years ago. That project, to create and offer a free and easy-to-use database of Australian children's and young adult books created by and about Aboriginal and/or Torres Strait Islander peoples, plus free online resources about each one of the books. How did this database develop? A few important points. We were funded by the Australian government in 2019, and they said quite sternly, you have to finish this in 1 year. We had First Nations people involved throughout in the development. There was a reference group that guided the project overall and kept it on track. There were 35 different contributors across Australia who were involved in the project. There were moderators who guided the contributors and kept us on track. It was launched in July 2020, and we met our deadline. Note there are some very positive reviews of this database. There's a hyperlink to our website at the end of this presentation, which includes lots of positive reviews from teachers, librarians, academics, homeschooling groups, parents, and others who gave their comments and thoughts about the database. So what's there? It's 619 books and climbing every day. And that is the date of August 2024. It's free, it's easy to use, and it's continuously updated. So what do you find in the database? It highlights the voices and cultures, the time and place of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. We're all interested in people, but what this database offers for each one of these books, and opposite you see a slide shot of what the database looks like, you're going to receive a succinct annotation. The author, the illustrator, the publisher, the choice of publication start and end date is yours to make. You can choose between 650 different subjects about these books. You can choose the audience level, the Australian curriculum, the creator's background, the language, and the place. So here are a few little examples. Who doesn't know Bronwyn Bancroft, author and illustrator? This book was published by Allen and Unwin in 2016. The audience for this book is ages 5 to 8, lower primary and primary. The subjects included in this particular book include autobiographies, childhood and youth, family, the location of where that book takes place, Lionsville. Also subjects like memories, pioneers, relationship to place, respect, and visual literacy. For this particular book, there's 7 teaching resources, and these are free and online. This book is written by Karen Wall and illustrated by Jacqueline Boo-Marwell, published by Lothian Children's Books in 2021. The audience for this book is lower primary, primary, secondary, and upper secondary. The subjects included are 20, and the annotation includes 200 words. There are 8 teaching resources for this book. This book honors 7 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander heroes and heroines from the 18th through the 20th century. Some are relatively unknown. It's the story of their achievements and their role in history. Contemporary terminology is used throughout. For example, white settler, colonizer, and invader. These are essential to the truth-telling about people and their history. These stories may inspire pride and increase interest in history among young Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander readers, while simultaneously informing those of different cultures. This is a very large format book, which offers simple and striking images of people, which capture the essence of each person's achievements. The stories offer perhaps unknown or recount and reveal inaccurate interpretations of interactions between the original inhabitants of Australia and its newcomers. This book thinks you're deadly. This book has recently been added to the database, written by Corey Tutt and illustrated by Molly Hunt, published by Hardy Grant Explore in 2023. This is aimed at secondary readers. It's a biography and includes 25 subjects. Included in this book are 72 profiles of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Each one features in about 250, 300 words that gives their achievements in their respective fields. What fields are there? Music, film, television, stage, visual arts, literature, journalism, education, science, health, and sport. Opposite each profile, Molly Hunt's portraits capture these individuals' recognizable facial features. There is also an Australian Institute of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Studies map of Indigenous Australia included in this book so that you can locate each person's country. Kuni is written and illustrated by Kuni, June, and McInerney. It's published by Magabala Books in 2022. It's aimed at readers of lower primary and secondary. It's an autobiography, includes 20 subjects. Kuni, June, and McInerney offers her personal childhood recollection of her siblings when they were taken from their mother and placed in the Unandara Children's Home. The year then was 1955. Kuni was 4 years old. She gives us in these books 60 intricate paintings that illustrate her life. These are accompanied by stories about her childhood there until she was 9 years old. The in papers repeat the internal artwork as kaleidoscopic, tiny images. These are created in bold, dark colors and convey the emotional content beyond words. The publisher, Magabala Books, states that Kuni is a story of healing and reconciliation. There's a collection of tender and honest stories that will educate children about our nature's history and remind adult readers of the real impact of the stolen generation. This slide shows you a selection of books that I'll just briefly talk a little bit about so that you can understand that this database includes wide-ranging books about biographies, autobiographies, and memoirs for different ages. Home to Mother, the one on the left-hand side, written by Doris Pinkleton Garamara and illustrated by Janice London, published by University of Queensland Press in 2006. And this is a memoir. Was made into a movie in 2002. Who can forget this epic adventure for young readers? 3 young girls are taken against their will to the Moon River Native settlement far from their home. Molly, age 14, Daisy, aged 11, and Gracie, aged 8, have been removed by police in the 1930s and brought south because their fathers were white. Molly's father worked on the rabbit-proof fence, and throughout her childhood, he would share her knowledge of that fence with her. The girls escape from the settlement, walk north, survive on what they can, and eat with help from kind adults, both Aboriginal and white people. Their resourcefulness and dogged leadership from Molly ensures they're not caught and that they end up back with their families. Their trek of 2,414 kilometers in 9 weeks is the longest recorded walk by unaccompanied children in Australia's history. It's unforgettable. Born to Run was written by Cathy Freeman and illustrated by Charmaine Ledden-Lewis, published by Penguin Random House Australia in 2021. This is an autobiography that includes 14 different subjects. It's the story of Cathy Freeman, who won a gold medal at the Sydney Olympic Games in 2000 for the 400-meter race. Charmaine Ledden-Lewis's illustrations capture the emotional highs and lows of competitive racing. She also reveals the beauty of the Australian landscape, where as a child, Cathy ran in the sand without shoes. The next book, Stradbroke Dreamtime, was written by Ujuru Nunankal and illustrated by Bronwyn Bancroft, published by Angus and Robertson in 1993. It's aimed at 5 to 8-year-olds, and it's an autobiography. This is a 50-year-old classic, probably the oldest book in the database. It was originally published in 1972 and republished in 1993 with Bronwyn Bancroft's illustrations. Its Aboriginal creator, Ujuru Nunankal, is well known as an advocate for Aboriginal people. Here are presented 27 short Aboriginal stories woven together with 13 stories of Ujuru's childhood growing up on Stradbroke Island in southeast Queensland. Her family's pride in their heritage imbues this deeply felt, very personal text. Albert Namatjira, book number 4, written and illustrated by Vincent Namatjira, published by Magabala Books in 2021, aimed at 5 years to secondary. There are 12 subjects included in this book, and this is a biography. Vincent's illustrations of his great-grandfather's story offer a witty commentary on the impact of colonization on Aboriginal people generally. His naive caricatures of the Queen and the Governor-General depict them as quite ordinary people. Albert Namatjira was inspired by Adam Goodes' personal experience of relentless racism. Vincent's own life reflects the impact of the assimilation policy under which Alfred lived. After 10 years at a foster home, when aged 18, Vincent reconnected with his extended family, culture, and country. He found that he had a famous great-grandfather, Albert Namatjira, one of Australia's most important artists who changed the face of art in Australia through his use of vibrant colours in the dynamic desert landscape. The next book I'd like to mention is Tell Me Why by Archie Roach, written for young adults, published by Simon Schuster in 2011, aimed at secondary, and this is a memoir. This is a raw, heartbreaking, and ultimately uplifting account of singer-songwriter Archie Roach's life. Archie was forcibly removed from his family as a young child. He was placed in various foster homes until he came to live with a Cox family. There he came to know love and stability, but everything changed one day when he was 14 and received a letter that would tear his world apart. There's much to be discussed around themes of identity, courage, and the way creativity can lead to understanding and healing. This book is abridged for young adults, made short. The lyrics from some of Archie's well-known songs are included at the start of each chapter. The last book I'd like to mention is Robert Runs, quite a recent book, written by Maria Sweetman and published by Magabala Books in 2023. It's definitely aimed at secondary level, and it's a biography. Maria Sweetman, the author of this story, is Robert Gupong's great-great-granddaughter. She wishes to honor Gupong's memory and also the Aboriginal children who lived on the mission. The main character in this book is Aboriginal runner Robert Anderson Gupong. Australia history records him as having defeated the world record holder Arthur Posty in a sprint race. And afterwards states that the Gupong grew up to be a community leader and tribal elder. The author, Maria Sweetman, concludes that Gupong's descendants acknowledged their ancestors' hardships and sought harmony and peace for the future. Well, this concludes my presentation on autobiographies, biographies, and memoirs. There's 47 of these books in our database, which, remember, has 619 books and counting because it's constantly updated. I invite you to visit the National Centre for Australian Children's Literature website. Each one of these is a hyperlink, so About the Centre takes you on a tour of the centre, of what's available and a little video about us as well. Check out the range of our databases as listed on this slide: Cultural Diversity, the one I've talked about today, Picture Books for Older Readers, Australian Verse Novels Resource, On this slide, you'll see there's a link to the bibliography of the books that I've talked about, the 47, although I haven't been able to talk about all of them. But on this bibliography, you will get the details of each one of these. Each book features a direct link to our database. I hope that you have enjoyed this presentation and that you will come and visit us, and we'd love to hear of any books that you think we should add to this database. Goodbye.